chance to relax with some family and friends, have a nice barbecue. Hopefully, the weather broke a little bit, although I heard now we're getting the opposite. Northeast is getting a little hot, and Florida looks like it broke a little bit. My name is Pete Renzulli, Trading Education Blogs. Interesting day to trade today. A very interesting day. We're going to get into the recap, but before we do that, I just want to remind you where to find all of the trades that we're going to discuss today. So as usual, you can go to tradingeducationblogs.com. And two different ways you could pull up the blog posts. Again, these are the two most important ones here. We're going to focus here on mine, which has the list of stocks and the calls from the morning. Very important to see what the pre-market stuff was and before the market opened, and the ideas heading into what actually unfolded during the day. So you can either get it here by scrolling down on the homepage, or scroll over to blogs and pull up what we saw today. So here was the call coming into the day. Huge move higher, which was very confusing for a lot of people, especially since we closed so weakly on a good push down on Friday. We're going to take a look at that as well. So really the question was, coming into the day, if you were looking at this type of price action, we had a gap down, followed through, closed near the lows. A little bit of choppiness on Friday afternoon, but that's to be expected ahead of a 3-day weekend. What were you expecting coming into today? Well, let's take a look and see what we're looking at. This was actually my call on what to look at today, and we actually got a little more specific in the pre-market meeting. SPY gap higher makes it difficult to get long after a higher push off the open. Now that's the key right there, is if we open and push higher or open and push lower. That's actually what that means there. So gap higher makes it difficult to get long after a push off the open, wait for a pullback to get long. So that was the trade. If we opened flat, and if we opened up on the gap and pushed higher, we would not have gotten long, waiting for a pullback. So a gap higher, push down, and then look for a spot. And to actually take that a little bit more in detail, this is actually the map of the spiders that we had coming into the day. So that kind of coincides with what we were looking at over here, which is this close. So you can see the market gap down, closed weak, and closed near the lows, and that's what we ended up seeing here. It says yesterday, but that's actually Friday afternoon. So very negative day coming into today. So you can basically see why a lot of people were thrown off by what happened today. However, you still have to trade what you see, not what you want to have happen. So this is actually the chart that we were looking at pre-market. All right, so here's the call heading into the day, as I had just showed you on the blog there. And this is actually a little bit more elaborated than what I had said there before, which was essentially the 195 area. And I don't want to just randomly throw that out there. I want to show you exactly where that came from. So push higher off the open would be hard to buy, wait for a pullback to get long. So essentially what we did is we took a Fibonacci number from the previous close to the pre-market high, which was all the way up here, which was 196.75. So essentially what we were looking for pre-market is we were looking for the gap higher. We were looking for a push into that level. And if we got it, then we'd be looking for a pullback. And the 50% retracement was right here, right around 195. So essentially we said gap higher. If we pull back into the 50% retracement, we'd be looking at the 195 level. I think we got down to 17 cents. Yep, 195.17. Did not quite get down there. Then we kind of just danced around for a little bit, headed to the afternoon. And here's what's interesting. We did not make a new low. The VIX, let's take a look at the VXX, actually did the same thing at that particular moment, where we didn't even come close to making a new high. And again, the VXX or the VIX moves opposite of the market. So in this case here, we did not make a new high. The SPYs did not make a new low. And as a matter of fact, the VIX gave an even bigger signal here based on the fact that it did not get above the opening price. For those of you that know and are in the room with us each morning from 8 to 9 and then from 9:30 to 12, the opening price to us is a very big signal. So what we ended up getting is we closed before the holiday weekend. So gap down and traded near the lows. We were looking for a gap higher to bid the first pullback to the 195 area. Now, we said 195 area because essentially we're looking at fib numbers. We're using an average of the 50%. 50% basically is the halfway point back. If it gets all the way back there, kind of a normal retracement. If it can't get all the way back there, that simply means that the previous trend to the pullback is still strong if it can't retrace 50%. In this case, almost got there, not quite. So that, in our case, there kind of was the bottom of that particular move. So if the pullback and rally unfolds but does not get above the open price, then we'd be looking to sell short with the open price as the stop loss. So essentially what that means on the chart in the SPY here is very simple. And I'm going to zoom this out just a little bit so you can see what we're talking about here. So essentially, let me just pull that back just a little. So essentially what we're looking at was here. We got the pullback. We went down to 195.17. That was the bid that we were looking for. Now, what we're looking for is exactly what happened here, which was we retraced the opening price. Let me just pull that up again for you real quick. If pullback and rally unfolds but does not get above the open price, sell short with the open price as the stop loss. So essentially what we're looking at here is this. And we pretty much got exactly what we were looking for. We bounced, held the open price as resistance. Matter of fact, didn't even get up there. Got a doji, shows a little bit of indecision. This is a 10-minute chart. And we got a swing high, which is a high with lower highs on each side. And an inside candle as a part of that. So you could technically have said this inside candle swing high breakdown was actually the entry. Now, it was 11:30. You have to make a decision whether or not you want to trade 11:30 heading into lunch. Completely okay, but that's not the point. The point is if you're starting to progress as a trader, it's not really relevant whether individual trades make money. What's really relevant is whether or not you're making a lot of good trading decisions. And in order for that to have happened, you need to have good structure. So this is good structure for a trade. Let's take out the fact that it's 12 o'clock at that point. So good structure, followed the plan, pulled back to that level, did not push through. This was the bid area. This is what we're looking for it to follow through. It didn't. Because it didn't, we would be looking to sell short. So this is technically a sell short that you probably would have got stopped out on because of that entry and because it could not get above the open. Now, fast forward a little bit, and we make one attempt to get above the open pullback, and now we make a higher low. And if you remember, that's where the VIX could not get above the open, the opening price. So as the VIX held resistance here and pushed down, let me show you that one more time. This spot right here between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, that actually showed us right there that some strength was coming in the market because it could not trade back above that level. So getting back into the SPY, we actually, although the SPY, you would have perfect scenario would have been, this would have been up here, the way the VIX was below here, but that didn't happen. But either way, you made a higher low, and the VIX was now rolling over at this point. So now you got a couple of hours, even if you did not get long, and I'm going to actually show you what I mean by this right here. Right here is the opening of this hour. We didn't really turn positive on this hour until the last 10 minutes here because this is actually starting the next one. So really the better trades long, if you want it to be long at this point, was now we're above the open. All right, we're obviously above the previous day's high and above the previous day's close. So the start of the 2 o'clock hour is when there was ultimately some really good opportunity in there to get long and take advantage of the gap. And that's the way the morning and the afternoon played out. Now, if you did not get long aggressively in the afternoon, not a big deal. Matter of fact, a lot of the Facebook pages and groups and everything and text messaging and posting to the forum, pretty much everybody was saying the same thing. It's going up. I see it going up. I don't understand why it's going up. What's the reason for it going up? But it kept going up in the afternoon. So that's when you got to drop down and say, all right, I have 3 out of the 4 criteria intraday that I'd be looking for to end up putting on a trade. And it actually was just a question of whether you expected follow through or not. So if you don't beat yourself up, if you didn't trade long aggressively this afternoon, nothing wrong with that at all, other than maybe you should have traded it because it was higher and pushed higher and day traded it. That was actually something else we had commented this morning as well, too. Big difference between being a day trader and a swing trader right now. Very frustrating for swing traders to have this type of gap down and then get followed up. We've had 9 out of 13 gaps in the spiders in a row. It's got to be some kind of record for that many in such a short period of time. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of ETFs and trading. I mean, you're not going to get these monster gaps. But for the most part, some interesting stuff going on. The oil-related stocks are not rolling over as much as you would expect. They might be getting some buying. This was a really clean pullback. Should have rolled over, had one good down day, and now we're sideways again. So it's interesting to see they're not getting crushed the way you would expect. We had kind of neutral on the financials today coming in, although if we would have opened flat and pushed down, would have been a little bit more aggressive in Goldman and a couple of the other guys, but they actually bounced. And you can see here again using the opening price. Look at, if you don't start watching the opening price yet, I'm going to convince it to you as long as you keep watching this, because look at that. That is a very, very significant number to pay attention to. And the way to word it is it's today's order flow. So when you combine the longer term picture with today's order flow, you start to have some good setups. Now, the only downside or negative to making a good argument for not having sold short to bid today, to be long, is because you came into the day wanting to be short. So if you came into the day wanting to be short and the stock bounces, you have to make a decision. Do I trade less shares and trade long with the way the market's trading today? Do I find stocks, and actually I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Do I find stocks that traded opposite of the market today, which we actually had here, stocks that showed relative strength on Friday relative to Friday being weak? So we're going to take a look at those. So this is just a small list of stocks. The market was weak on Friday, but these stocks were strong, which means they were up 2% from the open on Friday. So this would be one of the lists that you go to first to determine if you want it to be long, if what happened today unfolds, which is the market ends up being strong. And I can't stress it enough. You might never use this list. So the market was weak on Friday. If the market rolls over, you don't even go to this list. However, if the market does what it did today, and again, this is Charter Goldman here, but if the market does what it did today, where it was weak on Friday, these stocks were strong, and the market bounces, this should be a list you can go to because they already had relative strength to the market on that one particular day. I want to stress this clearly. This is based on one day of the market trading and one day of the stock trading. I'm not saying these stocks are in uptrends. All I'm saying is Friday, they had strength compared to the market selling off. So we're going to take a look at these stocks real quick right now just to show you what I mean by that. NBL, type it in there. So you can see here on Friday, strong when the market was weak, and it traded down with the rest of the tape today, but you can see it actually ended up bouncing. It gapped higher and came back in. So essentially what we're doing is we're walking you through some stocks that had strength when the market was weak. And that's how you ultimately end up finding stocks that have relative strength or relative weakness. So next set of stocks, we are looking at stocks that just came into today that were strong relative to the 20-period moving average coming into the day. Some people use the 20 exponential, some use the simple, completely up to you. So we look at CAM, and you can see why very clearly above the 20, the 50, nice separation there. LB, we just took a look at, and look at that weekly. Actually, this is daily, but look at how strong it was over the weekly. And again, how strong is this? Look at this. I'm telling you, at some point, you're going to say the opening price, holy mackerel, how am I not watching that more consistently? Just look at that. That's not a coincidence. Trust me when I tell you that. Next, we have Lulu. Again, relatively strong above the 20 EMA, and now the 20 is above the 50. Pulled back with the rest of the market on the open and stayed below the open, so you probably would not have done anything there. TWC, again, 20s above the 50, just a quick eyeball on it there. Strong close on Friday, had some room to go up to 192. TJ Maxx has been a dud, hasn't really done that much, but picked up a bit in the afternoon. You can see here, this is actually one of the reasons we keep putting TJ Maxx in the list. I'm going to go back to it really quick. See how here it is? It's above the 20, still hovering around the 50 for most part of the last couple of weeks. Take a look at what the SPY did. Now, just take a quick eyeball about that. So the SPY is clearly below, 20 is clearly below the 50, price clearly got hit. TJ Maxx clearly still above all of those, so good relative strength over the last 2 weeks to the market. Just hasn't done anything any bounce-wise other than today after the market found a bid. So that's why you put that stock in the list. So moving over to the stocks on the, oh, actually, there was an interesting one today. I normally don't go down this price, but JCPenney today, and I want to pull this up on the weekly chart just to give you an example of why we were looking at it. Pretty clean breakout level last week. This is essentially the level, whether you use 9 or use 950. We tend to use where the bodies are in the candle or read where the price action had a hard time staying above. But let's even say use 950. So finally got through 950. It's above there for 2 days coming into today with an $11 target as the next level. So it has some room to go. Good clean breakout. Not really good order flow for the summertime, but this was a pretty healthy breakout over the last 3 weeks. So we were looking to trade that long. Best case scenario, the stock flags now, and then look for a retest of the $11 up there. And again, as we said, how long are we going to have a much bigger list of stocks on the short side? This list is only one of the stock list on the short side today. So that's why a lot of traders came in today having a bias on the short side. GPRO is probably one of the top stocks we were looking at to be selling short today, as it kept hovering right around a support level. But you can see here, actually, it's the wrong chart. GPRO, you can see this 40 was a big level. We actually pull it back here, back to intraday. Go to 10-minute. Pretty weak out of the gate. It pushed down, made a lower high, pushed down again, took out the 2-day lows, and then kind of caught a bid with the rest of the market. Interesting one today was Netflix. Really got hit hard. It's comfortably below $100 right now, which is mildly surprising considering how strong it was yesterday. But again, take a look at this chart. You could say it's a Head and Shoulders top, right? Maybe a shoulder here, and here's the head. Here's what's more significant to me. Look at all of the red selling days, even while it's going up, and what it ends up happening. $7, I think maybe even $9, 102 down to 95, all the way down to 94. So roughly $8 or $9, depending on where you're looking at it. So if you're looking to sell short today and looking for a stock that showed relative weakness again today compared to the market, this is definitely one of them. So if you want to check out the entire list, make sure you pull up the list every day. It's usually posted no later than 8 o'clock, usually sometime between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. Again, go to tradingeducationblogs.com. You can either click on blogs or click on the homepage. But plenty of stuff in there to do, plenty of stuff, plenty of educational stuff. An important one, too, is get over here and download this PDF. It's a 20-something page PDF, especially if you're day trading. The only 4 price points you need per hour, and we just talked about a few of them in this video. So you get a little bit more, and you can take some notes. You download that and print it. So have an awesome day. We will see you tomorrow, and let's hope we get some good, clean trading again tomorrow, because whether or not you love the long today, there was definitely opportunity today. You just need a really solid game plan, and that's what you're going to find on these blog posts. So definitely hop in there and pull up these lists. I'm going to give you plenty to talk about. Always got a big list on my watch list. Marion's always got some really awesome news and feedback there, and a massive amount of hours that goes into that. She actually starts it at 5 o'clock the day before and then finishes right at 8 o'clock the next morning. So ton of good stuff there. Download that PDF on the homepage, and we will see you tomorrow. Have an awesome day.